Last year's Summer of Arcade on the Xbox 360 gave us some classic budget titles to play on, and this year's lineup looks to continue the trend by offering some weird but definitely wonderful titles for us to splash our cash on. From Dust is one of these games, and at first glance it may be easy to dismiss it if your normal gaming diet consists entirely of Call of Duty and Halo games. From Dust is what is known as a god game, which Ubisoft have been calling the spiritual successor to Peter Molyneux's Populous, which I would probably agree with if I had ever played Populous, I guess, but I haven't, so I can't. To me, From Dust feels like a cross between Lemmings and the Far Cry level editor, which is kind of a weird mix, I guess, but having never really bothered with god games before, I'm finding it hard to come up with a better comparison. You play as a god naturally who is represented on screen by a kind of ghost worm thingy that acts as your cursor and tool for manipulating the many different elements in your world. Your job is to save a nomadic tribe from certain doom, whether that be from floods or fires, but the twist is you have no direct control over them or the world they live in. You can point the tribesmen in the right direction, but it's up to them how they get there. As I mentioned before, what you can do is manipulate elements to help the wee guys survive. You can't stop a volcanic eruption, but you can build a barrier between the burning hot molten lava and your tribe's tiny flammable villages. The controls are simple. You use the left trigger to gather elements such as dirt, water and lava, and use the right trigger to place it anywhere you want in the game world. Each element reacts with the others in ways you would expect them to in nature. Water cools lava and turns it into rock, for instance, so you can use this to your advantage if you need to hastily build an impenetrable wall to defend your villagers from rising waters. You have total control over how you affect the landscape, and because of this, whatever level you play on will look completely different to its original form by the time you've guided your tribe to safety. Now, the tribe's villages can only be built next to totems which are dotted around the levels, and each totem awards your god with a new power. So, as your tribesmen spread across the lands and their numbers grow, so too do your special abilities. These abilities are all time-based, so will run out after a while, and then they have to be recharged. But again, this is timed, and you can use them as many times as you wish, as long as your totem has a village built next to it. If a disaster causes you to lose your village, so too will you lose your power. These powers include the ability to gellify water, put out wildfires, and create unlimited amounts of earth. This adds a bit of forward planning to the proceedings as you try to decide which power to get first. The closest totem would be easier to reach, but a further away one which is risky to get to may have a more useful power in the long run. You're not the only person in the game with special powers though. Each tribe comes with its own shaman, who can sense incoming disasters and warn you of their approach. They can even learn mystical chants which can repel water and lava if you safely guide them to one of several knowledge stones. These chants are taught to the villagers, who then bust out some mean didgeridoo beats when a certain danger approaches. It is actually quite scary seeing a huge tsunami slowly bearing down on your tribesmen, and their helpless screams as their village gets engulfed by an unchecked stream of lava makes you feel well guilty, so it's always wise to get learning your shamans up as soon as possible. You can also uproot and plant unique forms of vegetation. The explosive tree bursts in the presence of heat and is great for mining through rock, while the tree of water absorbs any surrounding liquid and releases it when close to fire, making them great barriers for your village if it's built downhill from a volcano. Some of the 13 levels can be completed quite quickly, while others saw me spend literally hours on them, fine-tuning my world and making sure I completed as many of the level requirements as possible. The game is so absorbing. Moulding your islands and gathering your elements is almost hypnotic. The whole vibe is so chilled out and relaxed. I literally ruined 5 cups of tea during my campaign playthrough because I was so into the experience I just kept forgetting to drink them. Once you've finished the campaign, the last level you unlock is a nice little sandbox world where you're given the powers to create any element at will with no time limits. So you can make your own little paradise for your people to live in and enjoy, or you could build a beautiful world for them and then cover it with volcanoes and lava and watch everyone burn. For absolutely no reason other than the fact that you can. Because, let's face it, gods are a-holes like that. The fun doesn't end once the campaign mode has been completed. There are also challenge modes which you can unlock. These puzzle-based missions generally revolve around saving tribesmen while using only one power. For instance, one challenge sees you guide tribesmen across a steep slope lined with waterfalls. You only have control over water, so by sucking up the H2O at the right moments, your little guys will stroll safely to the exit. Mistime it though and they'll be washed away into the sea. Bye bye! From Dust, with its stunning graphics, is a joy to play from beginning to end. It's generally not too challenging once you work out the basics, but the experience is not ruined in any way by this. It's a beautiful piece of playable art, and it's a great diversion from the normal slew of blood-soaked shooters that the majority of gamers play nowadays. Please give From Dust a go, even if it's just by downloading the free trial. It's an experience which you guys really need to try for yourselves, and I couldn't recommend it enough. Brilliant.